All right, recording is going. All right, so I'm just gonna share my screen and we'll kind of get started here. And thanks, Elizabeth, for kicking off and starting some conversation about the Level Up Boot Camp. Yay, I only heard the tail end of that. Um, but here we go. All right, so here is, we are just gonna start off with just welcoming everybody to Coffee and Consistency. You know, Brooke Jenkins is filling in for Charlotte Green. And with the help, of course, of the amazing Elizabeth Ramsire. She's one of my amazing coaches. I'm super excited to have her on here too. So hang on a second. Let me see if I can mute some people and get some backgrounds. If you can mute yourself, that would be helpful because there is some background noise. I just want to make it better for the recording, guys. Maybe it's fixed, so we'll go with it. Anyhow, so welcome, very excited. So just want to kind of go back to the takeaways from Level Up Bootcamp. And so if you were on Level Up Bootcamp, please hop in the share or come on live and just tell us a big takeaway. You know, I'd want to hear from like 4 people. What was a big takeaway from you from Level Up Bootcamp? Elizabeth, I know you shared one before we started recording, but why don't you go ahead and come on and share one of your takeaways?
So I shared the Dare, Deliver, Ridiculously already, but the other one was the 4 H's. Did everybody catch the 4 H's? And so I just want to briefly recap those because they are so powerful. The 4 H's is share hope every day when you don't feel like it, because there are many days where people don't feel hope at all. And even on the days that maybe you don't feel it, you can pour that into others, and then that will in return give you hope. That's what spoke to me. Share your transformation stories and do it every day. Share yours. Don't get out of touch with your own story. People want to hear about you, and they also want to hear about the people who are like them. And so if your story doesn't relate to them, they still want to hear it, but then share the ones that they do relate to. Health, offer it to all people, because just because they may not have weight loss doesn't mean they don't need health. So definitely make sure you pour into the ones that may not even look like they need it, because chances are they are definitely needing it as well. And then be happy with sharing your health and hope. If you're in control of your happy and share it, you'll give hope. And so I find that very, very powerful.
Love it. Love it. And Heidi, I seen you come off mute earlier. Did you want to share something, sweetheart?
Well, I was going to try and just be helpful, but I don't have to add my takeaways.
I'd love to hear from you.
So I don't remember who said it, but like you're not allowed to quit. Like there's no quitting when you have this great mission. And so I think sometimes as we're going through things, you have days where things get harder. And so you're like, oh, I can't do all the things. Or maybe that's not everybody. That's just me. But just you guys, like, I think that's what keeps me going is knowing how much my life has been changed.
Want to listen to this?
That's why I started coaching in the first place. Is it's something that like I can't not share. So for me, that's
fantastic. Thanks so much, Heidi. And then Margie in the chat put that she loved that I let my weakness become my strength and my pain become my purpose. You don't have permission to quit. Post that for yourself. Yes, I really love that too, because that's something I've heard a couple of times before is you never fail. You just quit too early. You just quit. So if you are not persevering and having that resilience, you're not allowing yourself to really have that ability to really change lives, to create your best life, with clients, with program, with being a coach, with whatever, fill in with whatever blank there is there. You never really fail, you quit. So I know I don't want to be a quitter. So I'm excited that I just love the resilience part of that. So thank you guys so much for sharing that. One takeaway that I wanted to share really quick before we really go on to what I had planned for today was well, actually two, I have shared two things because they're just super powerful, was planting the seeds. So I'm married to a farmer, so this really spoke to me. Planting the seeds and then the harvest. You plant the seeds months ahead of time, months ahead of time. And then you do have to nurture those seeds and you have to, do that work to allow them to grow. But in that process, you don't know really what the harvest is going to be, but you're doing the work anyways. And it does take 3 to 6 months, sometimes longer, to actually see that harvest and actually see what has happening and what you actually get out of that. And sometimes it's great and sometimes it's not so great. I remember a field just last year that my husband was like, this field has like no seed in it. It is crazy. Like they're harvesting the grass seed, this one field. It's like has hardly anything. And they couldn't figure out why this one field, out of all the rest of them were doing great, but this one field did not. So what they do, they just plowed it under and restarted the next year. So going that to, our business is planting the seeds. Like everything goes in planting the seeds and doing the work now, to sharing the hope, just like the 4 H's that Elizabeth started, sharing that hope, doing the, doing the consistency, doing the work now. So you can continue to share that hope, because when people are ready, it might take 3-6 months. For other people, it might take a couple of years for them to be ready. But if you're doing the work, the harvest will come. Give it time. 3 to 6 months is typical. So on that note, kind of goes right back to nourishing the tree. You can't cut off a branch of a tree and expect the branch to live. But if you nourish and take care of the roots, that tree is going to live, and that tree is going to continue to grow and grow. So same thing with your business, is nourishing your business from the roots up. And with that, they were talking about sticking with your community, with your tribe. So like our coffee and consistency, our Monday night training, the Wednesday night habits of health. Those are how you're nourishing your tree, how you're filling your cup, so that way you can continue to grow. If you're not plugging into those, you're not able to give your business and yourself anything to grow into. So I love, those are my two big takeaways. And let's see, in the chat, Tamara put putting those blinders on and staying focused. Lucinda put people follow people, not Optavia. I love that one too, definitely. Do your provide integrity, unity, there we go, authenticity, transparency, offering health and hope, parties on Zoom or in person. And then Margie added, yes, Tamara, the blinders, keep focusing on who else can I help? And yes, Cindy, they follow us, is so true, because we can only help those who are ready. So, if somebody decides to quit early in their health journey as a client, we can't stop sharing because they quit, because they didn't allow the program to work, the process to work. They weren't really ready. So why let them stop you? Keep going. There's other people ready. So put those blinders on. Who's next? Who's ready? Who's ready for what I have to offer? So we can go on and on about all the great things from Level Up Bootcamp this morning. That was the finale. So that was it for Level Up Bootcamp for now, but I'm sure there'll be another one here. They tend to go every couple of months. So I'm excited for that. All right, so let's focus on our next thing. So I'm gonna go back to screen share and go into that. So here's the welcome. So this is something that some of you may have seen before, maybe not. Hang on. Okay, and anyhow, so this is 7 levels deep. It's fantastic, about really discovering your why. And so this is something that I have struggled with in the past before. And have you ever wondered why you procrastinate, or you find other things to do instead of what you want most? I definitely call it creative procrastination. You've probably heard me say that before in some of my other trainings that I've done. But you ever wonder why? That all of a sudden, like, you're really focused on doing this, but all of a sudden this takes priority and you're not sure why. Well, if you're not really focused on what you want most, definitely that creative procrastination is going to get there. And if you're don't really have that concrete, the deeper why. So finding your why, find your true why, the deeper why. So with that, there's actually a 7-minute video, and I can't remember the guy's name off the top of my head, and I probably couldn't be able to pronounce it correctly, even if I could remember it. So I'm just going to share this video really quick. It's about a 7-minute video on really how to discover your deeper why. And it's called 7 Levels Deep. So hang on just a moment. Let me bring up that video and make sure I'm sharing computer sound with that. Computer sound. All right, guys. So hopefully I don't have any buffering issues with my internet. So here we go.
There's a part actually that I wanted to go over in your book called the 7 levels deep. Is that what it is?
Yeah.
And this is an exercise that you do, right? And what is this exercise for? And how does it go?
Okay. So 7 levels deep was probably the biggest impact, the biggest thing in the impact of my life ever.
Really?
Yeah. One day. So I hired a guy named Joe Stump. Do you know Joe Stump?
No.
Great guy. He's in the marketing world, but I hired him because I want more engagement with my students. So it's all about, if you can get somebody to digest some of your book, if somebody will read 30 pages of your book, they'll read the whole book. But how do you get them to the first 30 pages? So I'm always obsessing and trying to create ethical bribes, whatever I can do to get you to take action, right? We know books work. It's the books and the action. So anyway, so Joe comes in and I said, I want to do whatever I can. And he said, have you ever done the 7 levels deep? I don't know where he got it from. This is probably about 8 years ago. She was 2. So about 8 years ago. And I said, well, if it's good, just give it to me.
Right.
I'll take it. I'll take it. And he's like, I want to go through it with you. I'm like, listen. And I paid Joe $10,000 for half a day of consulting at the time. And he's like, I said, I don't want to go through it. I just want it. He goes, I won't give it to you unless you do it. So we sit there, and what the 7 levels deep is finding, everybody wants to know your purpose and what's this meaning of life and what's my why and all that. I get it, and it's kind of played out. But I don't know if anything really gets to the heart of it as simple as this. So what it basically was, he's like, why would you give me $10,000 for half a day? And I said, because I want to create a company that stands out from everybody else. I want to engage more students, change more lives. And he basically said to me, that's a really great answer. So I asked you why I'm here. And you said you want to engage more students and get more people to change their lives. So why is it important for you to engage more students and change people's lives? And I remember saying, there's a lot of people in this industry that shouldn't be here, and there's some great people. I want to help rise all boats of the good and push the rest out. I want to leave a legacy for my kids. So he said, okay, I asked you why you paid me $10,000. I'm not going to go through this whole thing. And he's like, you did this. You said you wanted to stand out and you wanted to leave a legacy. So why is it important to leave a legacy? And the whole point is asking the previous question 7 times. I took that day. By the time I got to the 3rd question, what happens is when there was 3 questions left, I should say, he asked me 4 times, it switched from my head to my heart. And I felt my physiology change. I felt my emotions change. I felt like tears welling up. And when he asked me, and I don't even remember what the 4th thing I said, but the 3rd thing I said was, I never want to go backwards. And he got me thinking about things I haven't thought about in years.
Wow.
I didn't like being the kid with hand-me-downs, and I'd make my parents drop me off down the street with their junky car, and I'd go to lunch. And this is not a poor me. My life was designed to be exactly the way it was, or I wouldn't be the man or the father I am today. But there was days I'd go to school without lunch money, and I just tell my buddies I'm not hungry because we didn't have a buck, right? So I never want to go back there. And I felt that emotion, and it hit me so hard. I'm like, that's what it is. And he's like, well, there's 2 more left. So he said, Dean, why is it important that you never go backwards? And I'm like, God, I don't know. And it hit me, and I thought, my kids, I just want to give them options. I don't want to raise entitled kids or brats, but I want to give them options that I didn't have. And I'm like, that's it. So he's like, no, that's not really it, because it's 7. It's not 9. It's not 5. It's 7 levels deep. And by now I'm crying because I'm thinking about my kids. Literally. And I got half my staff there, and I'm like just weeping. And it came to me. He said, why is that important? And it just hit me. And I never knew why I worked so hard since I was cutting firewood in high school and all that stuff. I said, I need to be in control of my life. And these emotions flooded in my parents. Everybody's got their thing, right? But for me, and I'm saying this because I want you at home, or when you're watching this, listen to this. I realized that my parents were married 9 times when I was a kid. So I moved 20 times by the time I was 19. Different stepbrothers, stepsisters.
Both parents were married.
5 for my dad, 5 for my mom, 4 for my dad.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Crazy. Always moving. Like military kids know what that feels like, right? So I'd be in a cul-de-sac with a new stepdad, stepbrother, stepsisters, have the bike, come home one day, and my mom's like, moving again. And then I move in with my dad, move in with my grandmother. So I had this crazy hopscotch my whole childhood.
Certainty.
There was no certainty. So what I realized at that moment, literally, I'm bawling loose. I mean, like literally crying. It's like, I don't want anybody to ever tell me when to move, how to dress, how to live, how to work, how I'm going to raise my kids. It's definitely not going to kiss somebody's ass for money. Right. And I realized at that moment, my why was I don't want to be a control freak. I just want to be in control. When I was 27, I retired both my parents. I stopped worrying about them. I took care of my grandmother. I take care of some, so I got those problems out of the way. And when I anchored that in, and you watching at home, it's like, if you think you're watching this because you want to be an entrepreneur, or you already are. If you're watching this, you've already had great success in your life. You want that next level, or maybe it's income, or better health, or better diet, or better physiology, whatever it is you want. So many times we think it's because I want to get out of that job. I want this freedom. I just want more money. I want to take the better vacations. And it's 7 times deeper than that. And when you find that, and the reason I know this, not only because it wasn't just transformational to me, is I did live events in Las Vegas for 6 years straight. Every single month, there was 400 people in the room that paid 20 grand to go to
Real estate events, right?
real estate events. So about 5.5 years I did them every month in Las Vegas. So once a month I'd fly in, and that was like the highest level. And every single month I'd pick somebody out of the audience and I'd say, come on up, let's do this 7 levels deep. Like, I got it, man. I know what it is. And I'm like, okay, so like, I'm gonna give you a quick example. I won't beat this up, but this is so important because when you feel fatigued, when you want to say no, when you don't want to go to the gym, when you don't want to make that sales call, when you don't want to get your funnel working, when you don't want to start new, when you don't want to say no to someone you should say no to, or say yes to someone else you should say yes to, literally for me still, I fall back on my why. And when I think of my kids and going backwards and being in control, I could push through anything. Nothing will stop me. A bad day. I don't know what it's like to be sick because my mind, I can program my brain to just power through because I focus foundationally on this why.
Right.
So I remember this guy, he was awesome. This big dude, he had dreadlocks. He was like 6'7". I mean, 6'5". He was huge. This awesome dude. He comes up. He's like, man, like pick me up. He gives me this big hug. He's like, look. So I said, why are you here? He's like, I already know, dude. You're not going to get 7 levels on me. You're not gonna. I've already done the exercise. He says, I'm here because in my neighborhood, there's no dads. There's not enough dads in my neighborhood. I grew up without a dad. These kids need dads. So I'm making money in real estate and I'm starting this youth group. I already had we get dads together and we go spend these days. He had this amazing story. And I melted on the first one. And I said, well, why is that important? He goes, dude, what do you mean, why is that important to you? Of course it's important. And he's laughing, he's joking, and he gives me another reason. I want more money because I want to build a building for it. But I could tell he was still in his head. He gets to number 2 or 1 and everything changed on him. He gets small and he starts crying. I mean, like uncontrollable crying. And he gets to his number 1. He's like, my mom raised a good boy, but when she died 9 years ago, I was a drug addict. And she never saw the man she created. And she said, I'm showing her in heaven what a man I'm saying it right now. I got physical good. Yeah. He said that. And he said, I'll never stop now. I'll never stop. And again, we all have our own reasons for doing stuff, but when you get to the heart of why you're watching, why you do what you do, it's so much deeper than what you think. And I forget sometimes. I hope I don't sit here and seem like I got my life all figured out. I've been blessed to have I've had more blessings in my life than I ever could imagine. If somebody would have told me at 25 this is where I'd be, I'd say impossible. So I appreciate my blessings, but I'm not perfect at all this stuff, but when I practice these habits, when I think through this, when I recognize my why, the days that I'm off track, the days that I think I bit off more than I can chew, or the days where I feel like I plateaued, when I go back to that why, it's like game over. You're not getting in my way. Nothing is.
Wow. You got me emotional. What is the,
Okay, guys. I put on my little headset here, so hopefully extra background noise won't come through. Can you hear me okay? Oh, hang on. Okay. Can everybody hear me okay? Okay, getting thumbs up. Yay! Okay. I've never used these before, so wanted to make sure they were working okay. So, wow, is that powerful? Who has seen that before, heard about the 7 levels deep before? Anybody? A few of you? Okay, awesome. Have you gone through that exercise? Yes? No? Maybe so? Yes, a couple of you? All right. So I know I've gone through it before, but I know I need to go through it again because I don't think I went as deep as I needed to for myself. And that's something that, especially if you're finding yourself, like he was saying, fatigued, tired, creative procrastination, and you definitely are not fully engaged to that deeper why, the 7 levels deep why. Because like you said, when you really got that, nothing's going to stop you. That's going to propel you and really create the massive momentum in your life and what you're doing. So, okay. With that, there is actually, let me screen share really quick and go back to our slides really quick. There is a website that I found last night. If you know about this, that you can engage in. It's called 7levelsdeep.com. And it is where they actually have the full 7 levels deep exercise on there. So I definitely encourage you to go on there and really do the exercise to really find out what your 7 levels deep is. And because that's going to really help you to find out what really drives you. And so that the deeper why, the one that will keep you focused on tasks, beyond everything, because you're just going to push through it. Okay, so now let's move on. So now we're going to talk about, now that we really kind of have a better idea of how to figure out what our why is, now we're going to talk a little bit more about our mid-month check-in. I feel like that kind of goes right into this because, if you don't know what you're creating, if you don't know what you want, then having a mid-month check-in seems pointless. At least I know I've been there before. I don't know if you've ever been there, but I definitely have. And so I'm going to have Elizabeth and I are going to kind of come on here, and we're going to kind of go a little bit back and forth about just some takeaways here. So definitely the first one listed here is the MAP. So monthly action plan. And this is really designed for a senior coach and above. Once you're a senior coach, you have at least 5 clients. And this really helps you to really create and know where you're at and what you want to create beyond that. If you're not quite a senior coach yet, that's your first step, is like, let's just create that senior coach. You're working really closely with your mentor to really find and support those first 5 clients, and then moving beyond that. So Elizabeth, I would love for you to come on and just kind of share just a tiny bit about your map, because I know you are super diligent about utilizing your map and what you love about that and how that helps you with your mid-month check-in.
So I have a little system that I like to do where on the left-hand side where it shows you, the different areas of goals for you on the left side. I like to highlight as I go through the month. And so it gives me a vision of how far I have come and what I've helped create health for other people. And I like to highlight things. And I like to really dig into my hundreds list when I come up with the people in the box of who I want to help, like who is really, truly on my heart for health. And so at the mid-month check-in, I look at those names and I say, have I poured my heart into these people? Have I expressed my love to them? Have I created hope or vision, something that can relate to them? And if I haven't, then I dig deep and I focus on, just those 10 people. And if I've literally touched each of them, then I dig even deeper and I look into who else could be in that box. Then I also look down my list of all of the people who are ordering, and I pour into them as well, because as we know, we are successful together, and referrals and coaches happen when you pour into your clients as well. And so I make sure that the connections with them are also stellar. And all this comes literally from looking at what I've created on my map, because for me, it's like a visionary board. And if I'm not utilizing my visionary board on what is on my map, or I haven't even created that, then I know it's time to dig in, be consistent with myself, and truly look at my map and what it is I'm creating for that month. And if I'm not on track, by golly, I'm going to jump on and I'm going to get it done.
I have to unmute. That works. Awesome, Elizabeth. I love it. You have such a big heart, and I love how you really go through it thoroughly, of just not just like check marks, not just a check mark box on you for you of like, where am I and what do I need to do? It's like, no, have I really poured myself into these? Have I really done the due diligence? So that is fantastic. I love it, Elizabeth. You were just so passionate. It's exciting. Okay, so kind of going back to that 7 levels deep, do you know what you want to create in October? If you have that vision, if you have that, your plan, if you know what you want, then you can create a plan. So I hope you all have a plan. You hope you all know what you want to create in October. What does those goals look like? If you don't, definitely touch base with your mentor and help to create that plan for what you want most in October. What matters most to you right now? Going right back to that 7 levels deep, having that why, and then with that, what are you creating? Because that why goes back to what are you creating and what can you create in October? And I know that we talk a lot about visualizing and picturing it. So when you have that deeper why and that deeper vision and know what you're creating, having that visual, can you picture it? And not just picture it as in like one picture, but like 3D, full on color, specific details, add lots of details. What are you doing? What are you wearing? All the details. It makes it so much more real in your brain, and whatever you are visualizing, you are creating. So the more details that you have, the more you're creating that in your life. So I love just a couple of these little quote thingies off the side, the vision, having that vision of what you want to create. But then, things which matter most must never be at the mercy of things which matter least. I love that too, because that goes right back to the 7 levels deep. So I'm just really excited that how this is all just kind of working together. So wonderful. So let's move forward, because I know I want to try to stay on time, and just want to touch base a little bit about, make sure you all know about the double cab assist in October. So with this, if you don't know about this, so you all know what the cab is. I hope you all do, because the cab is a client acquisition bonus when you're a brand new coach. So you're for your first 30 days. You get a $100 bonus when you bring on 5 new clients and at least $1,000 in frontline qualifying volume. And your sponsoring coach would also receive a bonus. So this would be that double cab assist bonus. That would double the bonus for you. So with that said, like, are you focused on that? Are you focused on doing more coach explores? Are you focused on what that looks like for you? So I know that for me, kind of like the first question here is, how many coach explores have you already completed so far? This might be a good awareness question to ask yourself. If you haven't done any, oh, hey, this is a good awareness. Hey, how many are you planning on completing? And if you don't have a plan of completing any, what's probably going to happen? You're probably not going to complete any. And then who is on your coach candidate list? And so this kind of goes to, like, if you haven't completed any, and if you don't have a plan for completing any, I know for me, I probably don't have a coach candidate list written out. So that's my first thing. Write out my coach candidate list, make a plan of how many I want to complete, and then asking myself, have I asked these people lately to explore coaching? Now, I want to elaborate on that a little bit, and I'll have Elizabeth come on and elaborate on that too, because so I know that most people need to be asked about coaching multiple times. Who, if you agree, put a 1 in the chat. How many of you were asked multiple times to explore coaching before you finally said, okay, I'll explore? I know it was multiple times for me. And so, and that's one of those things, like, a no is not a no. A no is not yet. So Elizabeth, I'd love for you just to share just a little bit about your heart on this, because you were such, amazing and powerful on your heart about sharing it multiple times. And you do share multiple times to many of your clients, and you always save space for them for when they're ready to explore. So I want you to share just a little bit on that.
So I share my heart. So a lot of people don't have a vision for themselves because either they have the concepts of coaching, because there's a lot of programs out there where there's just a lot of messaging of, I think you can use this. I think you do that. And they see all of those negative posts and things in the chat that just come across aggressively on some of the companies. And so I really like to pour into them and let them know that we are different, we're transformational. We're not going to be doing those things and like trying to knock out those concepts before even getting them to Coach Explorer. And just pouring your heart into the reasons why we're even here and why we're doing it and why we are getting out of our own way and going into coaching so that we can help lift other people up. My biggest thing that I like to do is I like to inspire people. And even if they don't feel like they need coaching in their life, I like to pour in and be like, well, who in your life do you absolutely love that your heart is aching for to make a difference? And will they even trust me because they don't know me? And like letting them know that there's answers for the people they love, but it may not be through me, but through them, because the trust is in them. And a lot of people won't reach out to who they don't know, and just letting them know that they could be the way, even if they don't feel like they need this for themselves. People need them.
Absolutely. Beautifully said, Elizabeth, because definitely, visualizing helping other people. And for an example, personally, like I actually said no to coaching. I don't even know how many times. The reason why I became a coach is because one of my really good girlfriends came to me and said, all right, I want to do this. I said, great. Go talk to Lee. Go talk to Lee and Charlene. She's like, no, I don't know them. I'll talk to you. So I'm like, all right, fine. I'll be coach for you, but that's it. So me becoming a coach for that one friend has totally been this amazing domino effect that has totally transformed so many people's lives. And oh my gosh, my family's been blessed so much. But I said no until I had one friend that was like, no, I don't want to talk to anybody but you. And she's the one that pushed me to become a coach. So you never know when that's going to happen. But if you continue to ask, continue to, share, when they're ready, when they are ready to go, okay, I'm going to do it for this one person, then they will. And you might be surprised how their world's going to rock and how they're just totally going to change and transform, not just their lives, but so many other people's lives in the process. So thank you, Elizabeth. That was fantastic. All right, so go back to screen share for just a second and just finish this up because we are doing fantastic on time. All right, so yeah, so definitely thinking about that. Like, really have you asked each of your clients to explore coaching because they would be great because there's so many reasons, you need to be authentic in the reasoning of why you think they'd be a great coach. And I know for a time, so actually I'm going to stop share for just a second because this just came onto my heart and I feel like I need to share it. I went through a time where I did not offer coaching to hardly anybody. I didn't want to be that kind of coach, if that makes any sense. So in my brain, my concept was that I didn't want to recruit people. I didn't want to be that salesperson like, oh, yeah, everybody has to be a coach, and I didn't want to feel like I was pushing coaching on people. So I went through a long time of not sharing coaching with anybody. I only shared if they asked. Well, guess how many people asked? Not very many. So, it was really one of those things I really had to stop and think about what has coaching done for me? And is me not sharing and me not offering that to other people, how am I holding that back from them? Why do I have the power to limit their ability? Why should I be holding that power away from them? They have the abundance of mentality. They can do whatever they want to do. It's why am I choosing to not allow that gift to them? So it was really a big mind shift that I've gone through. And honestly, now this is something that is kind of a crazy thing that I find myself sometimes that concept comes back for a short time. And I have to go back to that, like, why am I holding out on people? Why am I not asking? Why am I not offering this amazing gift of coaching? This has changed my life so much. So I would encourage you just kind of be aware. Do you have a concept where you're like, oh, well, this person's, she's got so much going on. There's no way that she could coach. No, you'd be surprised. Just ask. You never know unless you ask. You want to offer and allow them to have that opportunity to explore that. So, Margie, yes. So sometimes our concept says we'll bother them, but the reality is we'll bless them. Absolutely, Margie. Thanks so much because it's so true. It is so, so true. So definitely have the time to think about what is this concepts that you might be having holding you back from sharing the gift of coaching with other people. And I know that coaching has totally changed my life dramatically. But again, that concept keeps coming up. So just kind of be prepared and be aware that those concepts can hold you back from helping others and blessing other people and helping them to create the life that they really would love to have. So, okay, back to screen share now that I added that little bit. All right, so last slide is just her action steps for this week. So, Elizabeth did a fantastic job talking about your map. And so if you're not at the place, if you're not quite a senior coach, you're not doing the map yet, that's fine. Just make sure that you have a plan with your coach. So reaching out to your mentor and make sure you have that plan of what is it you want to create this month so you can have that vision and you can have the action steps to be able to create that. So if you haven't done that, definitely do it. And I definitely believe that it's a great thing to revisit that again and again with your coach over and again, because things change. And all of a sudden, I have a coach that, went from wanting to play small to all of a sudden, no, they want to play big. And I didn't know that until they told me. So don't be afraid to tell your business coach, your mentor, when you're ready to play big. So, Elizabeth, do you want to come on and talk a little bit about action step number 2? Oh, you're muted, sweetheart. Oh, there we go.
Okay, sorry about that. So write out a detailed vision of what you're creating, and how you do that is going to be different for everybody. So, but a great way to do it is pen to paper, like literally write it out. Don't type it out, write it out. It really puts it into your brain, and do the detailed vision of, like, put numbers on it, put actual numbers, what you're going to do to make it happen. And why are you creating it? Give yourself a reason to why you're doing it, whether you want to empower others or you want to get yourself into, I don't know, a more comfortable way of living or doing something. Just get very detailed with yourself and create a vision. If that is creating a vision board, then do it. Or creating vision through your map, do it. Whatever it speaks to you, just make sure it's detailed. You've got everything crystal clear, because when you are clear on where you want to be and where you want to go, then that gives you the drive to get there. That's like the driving force. And so make sure you have that done and in your head and on your paper, so that there are days when you forget, you have it written down and you can get clear again.
Awesome. Definitely pen to paper definitely makes a huge difference when you're creating your vision. And don't be afraid to go to pen to paper frequently, and continue to add on to that, and to continue to create more and more to your vision, daily if need be, weekly, because it makes a huge difference keeping that in the forefront of your mind. And of course, along with that, number 3, complete your 7 levels deep exercise. This is going to help you to create that more of that detailed vision, to really know what is that driving force, your driving why. So I'm really excited to hear lots of your guys' takeaways from the 7 levels deep. And then last one, of course, going through your coach candidate list. If you don't have one, create one. And then you can definitely invite 5 people to explore coaching this week. And with that invitation, you'll be surprised how many people will be ready to say, yeah, let's go ahead and explore it. Let's see if it's a fit. And that's what I love about the exploring of coaching. We're never trying to convince them that coaching is their answer, but we want to invite them to see if it's a fit for them, and helping them to know a little bit more about it so they can make the decision for themselves. I love that. So there is your action steps for this week, for this coffee and consistency, and I'm super excited. So anything, any little extra questions or takeaways anybody wants to add in, please come off mute. I'd love to just stay on for about another 5 minutes or so and just answer any questions or anything like that you'd like. I'm going to go back to gallery view. Hey, Tony, did you want to add something? No? Just wanted to say hi?
I'm cooking breakfast for the rest of the family, so I'm trying to listen and pay attention to everything at the same time.
You're doing awesome. That's what we do. We make it happen, right?
Yeah, 2 months ago, I would have been sitting here wanting to bite, but it doesn't bother me anymore. So.
Yes, yes. So I want to just brag on Tony for just a second, because this is just, his story is amazing. So Tony, I'm going to brag on you, so be prepared, darling. He's one of my clients. He is 6'11". He is a retired semi-pro basketball player, and he had lots of, injuries, lots of things. His body hurt, his feet hurt, like it was, he was in pain all the time. He's just finished 8 weeks. He's down 62 pounds, Tony?
67.
67 pounds. Oh my gosh, in 8 weeks. Okay, but beyond the scale, he's not in pain. His energy is through the roof. He's completing so many projects around the house, and at work and everything, that his life has totally been transformed. And he is so excited and so just, he's taken his business to another level. He's ready to share this with the world. Aren't you, Tony?
Absolutely. You just
Oh.
got to get people to listen because everyone's a little stubborn. But
Well, you're doing it. We've completed several health assessments this week, and people are ready. People are rocking. They're seeing your transformation. They're seeing all the transformation stories you're posting, and just like we were just talking about the harvest. You're right now. You are in the planting the seeds and doing that work. So when they're ready, it's just going to just be massive harvest for you. It's going to be amazing.
we had a 2-hour health assessment. I think we should get bonus points just for that.
Are you talking about with one we did the other night?
Yeah.
Yeah, we had a kind of a complicated health assessment we did the other night, but it was awesome. But I've never had a complicated health assessment like that before in my 5 years of being a coach. But it was wonderful.
You're
Uh,
welcome.
yeah, so wonderful. Well, if there's anybody else wanted to hop on, have any questions or anything before we log off for the day? All right. Well, we'll call that a wrap. Have a wonderful one. Thank you so much for allowing me to lead. And Elizabeth, you did fantastic. So proud of you. And perfect timing because here comes a little man to join in to the fun. All right, guys. Have a wonderful day and we will see you soon. All right. Bye.